1,000 years ago, Indian empires flourished in what is now Mexico and Guatemala. People built incredible cities and awesome pyramids. They often used these same pyramids, however, for a grim ritual. The sacrifice of human beings. What sort of men were these? What dark secrets are entombed inside their massive pyramids?
This series presents information based in part on theory and conjecture. The producer's purpose is to suggest some possible explanations, but not necessarily the only ones, to the mysteries we will examine.
Vast areas of Central America are dense, uninhabited jungle. For centuries, the only regular visitors have been men known as chicleros. They come in search of the chicle tree, from whose sap chewing gum is made. Often, it was these chicleros who first discovered towering, vine-shrouded mounds, ancient stone pyramids. All over Mexico and Guatemala, pyramids lie in ruins, remains of many separate Indian cultures, some dating back thousands of years. The few pyramids that have been restored are among the most awesome works of antiquity. In Cholula, there is a pyramid which in volume is the largest building on Earth. 1,400 feet on each side, it covers 45 acres. To probe its construction, archaeologists dug 4 miles of tunnels inside the pyramid. They found steps of 3 earlier pyramids built one on top of another. The oldest dates back some 1,800 years. In the heart of Mexico City, workers are digging out an Aztec pyramid. Covering 2 city blocks, the ruins consist of 9 overlapping pyramids. Archaeologists are restoring the original appearance. It was here in 1520 that Spanish conquistadores, led by Hernan Cortez, marveled at a gleaming white pyramid 100 feet high. It supported temples dedicated to the chief Aztec gods. The many temples and plazas comprised one of the great religious and ceremonial centers of ancient Mexico. When the Spaniards arrived in the New World, most of these pyramids were already in ruins, sources of mystery even to the native peoples. Later, travelers in Mexico who knew that the Egyptian pyramids were burial monuments asked whether the pyramids of Mexico might contain tombs or buried treasures. When none was found, they wondered what strange meaning these pyramids might have had. Ancient American pyramids are found in the ruins of great architectural complexes. At the top of each pyramid is a platform reached by a steep staircase. Here stands a temple consisting of a few dark rooms. Why did these tiny temples require such massive bases? Near Mexico City sprawl the sun-baked ruins of Teotihuacan, largest and most mysterious city of ancient America. Dominating its avenues are huge pyramids. Here, the enigmas begin. Facing west, The largest pyramid of Teotihuacan was dedicated to the sun god. Only half the height of the largest Egyptian pyramid, the Pyramid of the Sun nevertheless covers the same immense area, almost 600,000 square feet. If the builders had contact with Egypt, no one can say. Recently, an ancient tunnel was discovered under the Sun Pyramid. It leads to a natural cavern where only a few pottery shards have been found. To Mexican Indians, caves symbolize Mother Earth. Some archaeologists believe the cave was the legendary birthplace of the pyramid builders' tribe. Its discovery has fueled speculation that somewhere in the huge bulk of the pyramid are hidden chambers, perhaps even a tomb. 300 meters from the Sun Pyramid is a group of ancient holes forming a triple cross. From this spot, on June 21st, the longest day of the year, the sun can be seen to rise over the pyramid's third notch, precisely marking the summer solstice. Of the people who built Teotihuacan, little is known. To their origin, we have scarcely a clue. The city flourished for centuries. Then, suddenly, 1,200 years ago, it was burnt and abandoned for reasons unknown. No other great city left so few traces of its demise. No hieroglyphic writing or apocalyptic legends record the city's end. Did the climate change suddenly? Could disease, hunger, and civil strife have made the city vulnerable to invaders from the north? Why was their city of over 200,000 laid out in such precise grids? What was their religion? Who were their gods? We are still searching for clues. One pyramid is decorated with great serpents. The snake heads resemble Quetzalcoatl, an important Mexican deity of later centuries. A strange blend of God, man, and beast, he was revered for introducing learning and art. He shares the pyramid with Tlaloc, the fierce Mexican rain god. Remarkably, the same goggle eyes are found 700 miles to the east in ruined cities whose people we do know. They were a separate culture, the Maya, and were somehow connected to Teotihuacan. Within a century of the end of Teotihuacan, the Mayan Empire also collapsed. At the Mayan center of Chichen Itza, there is a temple known as the Caracol. It was a solar and astronomical observatory used 1,000 years ago by Mayan priests. Night after night, astronomer priests charted the movements of heavenly bodies, making sightings with sticks or hollow tubes. Despite their lack of modern instruments, these early astronomers created a solar calendar whose accuracy was unrivaled until the 19th century. They recorded the rising of stars, had an excellent lunar calendar, and could warn of eclipses years in advance. The Dresden Codex, an ancient Mayan manuscript, preserves their calculation of the motions of Venus, accurate to 1 hour in a span of 300 years. For the Maya, the cycle of day and night was linked to the supernatural world of life and death. The 9 tiers of their pyramids represented the 9 levels of the underworld. Why, if the pyramids were connected with death, did they not have tombs? In 1949, archaeologist Alberto Ruz was exploring a pyramid at the Mayan center of Palenque. To his surprise, he uncovered a rubble-filled staircase leading down to the heart of the pyramid. At the bottom of the staircase, Bruce found skeletons of several youths, perhaps placed there as guardians. Then, he broke through to a large vaulted room. Around the walls were stucco reliefs of Mayan gods, known as Lords of Darkness. In the center of the chamber, Dr. Roos saw a huge stone monolith covered with carvings.
Levantamos la lápida que cubría.
We lifted the flat inscribed stone
La abertura,
and found a large
una
opening
abertura
that was
estaba
covered with
cerrada
another
con
stone.
una tapa. La levantamos.
We lifted that one too,
un sarcófago,
and found a
y allí
sarcophagus
apareció el esqueleto,
in which appeared a skeleton of a man
todas sus joyas de jade.
with all his jade jewelry.
Over the man's face was a mask made of 200 jade pieces, to the Mayans, more precious than gold. The sarcophagus lid, its colors restored, shows a priest looking up through sacred trees. It appears the lid was intended to help the deceased to heavenly paradise. The pyramids, however, had another more grisly connection with death. They were often the scene of grim ceremonies ending in human sacrifice. Why were such technically advanced people so mesmerized by blood and death? When archaeologists excavated the Caracol at Chichen Itza, they found 14 skulls on a platform adjoining the main stairway. The skulls belonged to victims of human sacrifice. Most common form of sacrifice, the heart was torn still beating from the victim's chest by the high priest and offered to the gods. The victims were prisoners of war, slaves, or even devout volunteers. Often, the body was divided among priests and populace and eaten.
Para los mayas no tenemos ningún.
According to Dr. Roos, we don't know whether the Mayans performed sacrifices on the tops of the pyramids. For the Aztecs, we have information from the writings of the chroniclers, including some drawings. And there you can see that they made human sacrifices in front of the temple on the tops of the pyramids. After they killed the sacrificial victims, they threw them down the stairs.
In front of the Pyramid of Mexico City was a bizarre structure called the Skull Rack. According to Spanish reports, it contained 136,000 human heads. The Aztec obsession with sacrifice was no isolated example. 5 centuries earlier, the Mayans of Chichen Itza also practiced sacrifice. It is believed that this platform once supported poles on which were stacked the heads of sacrificial victims. There were many situations that called for sacrifice. The rain god had to be appeased. And to protect the sun during its nightly passage through the underworld, priests felt compelled to make daily offerings of human hearts and blood. Ancient Mexican and Mayan art is rich in death-inspired images. Nightmare visions of the grotesque, the fantastic, and the terrifying abound. The famous calendar stone, found near the Aztec pyramid, embodies the highest flowering of their science and art. At its center is the sun god. Sticking out in the form of a knife, his tongue depicts the god's incessant demand to be fed with human hearts and blood. Why were these people so preoccupied with death? How could cultures so advanced in art and science be so obsessed by blood and sacrifice? They were a people who invented zero and counted time in the millions of years. Yet, slaughter fascinated them more than anything else. In the shadow of the pyramid was the bustling marketplace. Amidst clay pots and garden vegetables, a young man leads a procession. He is dressed in the garb of the god to whom he will be sacrificed. Such sacrificial victims felt especially honored, since their souls would rise to the house of the sun. For ancient Mexicans, there were no absolute barriers between the living and the dead. They feared death, but believed it flowed naturally from life. We know their descendants, simple corn farmers living in the torrid plains and jungle villages of Central America. In the Yucatan, most of the villagers are pure Mayan. Today, the Mayans' descendants remain suspended between ancient and modern worlds, tied to unfathomed mysteries in the buried cities of their ancestors. Deep in the Guatemala jungle is the most awesome of all Mayan ruins, the fabulous city of Tikal. Like ancient skyscrapers, its huge pyramids pierce the rainforest canopy. They support dark, narrow temples with walls up to 40 feet thick. Crowning the temples are giant roof cones covered with ornate but decaying sculpture. Once, gleaming white plaster coated the pyramids. Temples were painted a gaudy red. Great crowds gathered in the plazas to watch spectacles of pomp and sacrifice.
La población no tenía acceso.
The population didn't have access to the temples, which were on tops of the pyramids. The only ones allowed were the priests. For the ordinary people, the pyramids were proof that the ruling class had great power, that they had better obey.
Perhaps the pyramids were symbols of ruling class power, designed to awe and frighten the populace. The pyramid stairs are so steep that some tourists have slipped and fallen to their deaths. Perhaps they were built so that bodies of sacrificial victims would roll unimpeded to the ground. Everywhere at Tikal are altars paired with vertical stones called stelae. A common theme of altar carvings is the bound prisoner destined for decapitation. On one stone, skull and thigh bones represent the captive, dispatched by two executioners with stone knives. Why are there so many altars at Tikal? Could it have known the horrors of mass sacrifice? More than 50,000 people once lived in Tikal. But in 889 AD, the dates carved in stone suddenly stopped. The city was mysteriously abandoned. The whole Mayan Empire collapsed. No one knows why. The jungle has today reclaimed its territory. Once gleaming temples have crumbled to ruin. No other civilizations vanished so mysteriously. Most experts believe the city dwellers fled to small villages, leaving the ceremonial centers empty. Why did they leave? What chased them out? In ancient America, gods and men met in ways we may never understand. Animalistic, fatalistic, and magical ideas ruled supreme. For these peoples, reality was multi-leveled, like the steps of their pyramids. In a system of mystical thinking alien to us, pyramids were symbolic stairways to heaven, the ultimate in spiritual technology. Somewhere in the vast gulf between the pyramid builders' accomplishments and their practices lies the answer to their mysterious disappearance. Primeval jungle spreads round Tikal in every direction. The dense rainforest covers 20,000 square miles, concealing countless ruins. Archaeologists are just now uncovering what could be the greatest ruin of all. 50 miles north of Tikal, an old Mayan road stretches toward the unexcavated city of El Mirador and its giant rubble-covered pyramids. Today, El Mirador is almost completely concealed by vegetation. Both larger and older than Tikal, it may be the first true city of the Americas. At El Mirador, archaeologists hope to find crucial clues to the strange fate of the lost civilization of the Americas.